everybody. It's Dave here, Darren over there, where your two old bloggers been commenting publicly about your Minnesota Vikings for well over 2.5 decades apiece. It's been a long time, and we're still waiting on that first Super Bowl. Today, we're going to talk about, aren't we going to wait more? In the first theme. And we're going to get controversial. Oh, no. And then, second theme, this week in Vikings lands, we've got a few tidbits to talk about what's happening this week and how it's going to play out. And then, of course, in the third theme, we bring in the free agent, the home run hitter, Drew Bunting, as we discuss the Vikings at the Steelers in Dublin, Ireland. All next on Two Old Bloggers. Let's rock! Vikings First and SKOL presents This Week in Vikings Land with Darren and Dave, your two old bloggers. Hey there, everybody. We're back once again for this overseas weekend. Darren, how are you doing up there in the Great White North?
Pretty good, Dave. This morning getting up early gives me a trial run for tomorrow. when I also get up early at 7:30 a.m. to watch the Vikings and the Steelers in Dublin. But looking forward to it, and looking forward to this show and talking to everybody.
Yes, and which is good. Now, I couldn't sleep in late if I wanted to, so I won't be up for the game no matter what.
Yeah, but, well, sleeping in late for me these days is like 9 a.m., which would still leave me having missed an hour and a half of the game tomorrow. So,
and you don't want to do that, not
nope.
In the least.
And I won't be doing that.
All right. Well, it's time to get started, and we start with theme one. A reality check.
At least for me, Dave. And thanks to everybody. Good morning to everybody who's in the chat already and tuning in, and more will join as we go along. But yes, I want to get into I think Carson Wentz had his first start last Sunday, of course, against the Bengals, and couldn't have went much better, right, Dave? 48-10 pasting of the Bengals. It looked like the old Bengals. I think that was the biggest margin of victory for the Vikings since they whooped the Jaguars back in 1998. I believe that was when we beat them 52 to whatever. Right. But yeah, you win 48-10. Not too many complaints, I would say, overall with the Vikings' performance and Wentz's performance. But of course, Wentz is starting tomorrow in Dublin. He's getting at least one more start, and he might get much more than that, depending on how he plays and depending on JJ McCarthy's, the health of his ankle. So we knew the Vikings, they had to, with the schedule they had to get off to a quick, fast start and stack some wins in this first 5 games of the season. So the Vikings season could partly hinge on Wentz's play or for however long he's playing here, particularly over these first 5 games. So that brings me to, what can we take out of Wentz's performance last Sunday against the Bengals in that dominating win? Well, I think overall, he didn't have to lift a heavy load, Dave. He only threw 20 passes. Partly that's because the Vikings were up by 45 points after the third quarter. He gets pulled. They put in Max Brosmer, Bob's your uncle, right? So it's also because they ran very effectively, 169 yards in that game on 31 carries. Didn't have to pass the ball as much as they have normally had to do in the KOC era. He threw 2 touchdown passes. He didn't really have any, he didn't turn the ball over, and it didn't have any really turnover, I think, close to any throws that could have been turnovers. So I think, that was important. The Vikings, also very important, I think was critical in this game, was in that first offensive drive, he led the Vikings, helped by a couple of penalties, but nonetheless, he helped the Vikings go down the field and get a touchdown on their first offensive drive of the game. They hadn't been able to do that in the first two games with J.J. McCarthy starting, not even close. I think we went 3 and out in our first two drives in the first two games. So I think that was very important. Get the Vikings off to a fast start, get Wentz and the offense comfortable and confident, and he was able to do that. And of the 9 offensive drives that Wentz was in the game for, the Vikings scored points on 6 of them. 4 TD drives and 2 field goals as well out of that. That is the kind of production we like to see out of the offense. He also got the ball out quickly in this game, which is something J.J. McCarthy also wasn't able to do in his first 2 starts. The PFF had him averaging 2.55 seconds between snap and release of the ball. That was the second fastest in the NFL in week 3. Only Matt Stafford threw it faster. So we talked about how it was important for him to get the ball out quickly. He did that. Having said all of that, when you add all those things up, still, when I watched Wentz, he didn't really wow me. I think, he took 3 sacks. A couple of those, I think, were when he held the ball too long and was trying to make plays when they weren't there. He's going to have to rectify that. They went 3 and out after 3 of the 4 drives after they scored on the opening drive. So that wasn't ideal. So, there were some things there. He just, I don't know. I thought the offense still looked a bit clunky, and his QBR rating, even though his quarterback rating was very high, his QBR rating, which a lot of people consider to be a more accurate reflection of how a quarterback plays in the NFL during a game, his QBR was a pretty poor 35.3. So some concerning aspects there. Again, he didn't get asked to do too much, but can he get better, Dave? I think that's something we have to ask. And there's a few factors to think that he can. He hasn't been here very long. He doesn't know the offense inside out. He hasn't had been able to build up that rapport with his wide receivers. That will get better as the season goes along and if he plays more. He's also got Christian Darrisaw back. That's helpful. He gets Jordan Addison back tomorrow. That has got to help the offense, and we'll talk a bit more about that a bit later. So there are some things going for him, I think, that is a positive. But again, some concerning aspects. And also, when you look at the game last week, Dave, the defense was a big reason why we won the way we did. The defense gets 2 touchdowns. You got 2 defensive touchdowns from Isaiah Rodgers. They also got 5 turnovers. A couple other fumbles by the Bengals resulted in the Vikings getting an extra 10 points on top of those 2 defensive touchdowns. So by the first half, you're up 34-3. The game is over, and Wentz doesn't have to the game is over by then. Wentz doesn't have to really worry about it too much after that. He did lead a 10-play, 74-yard drive in the third quarter, which was nice to see. Again, that is something the offense hasn't been able to do in the first 2 games, drive out, have a long, grinding drive. But Wentz didn't have to really get it done in a tight game in, critical high-pressure situations because we were up so much. And again, the defense was a big reason why the Vikings won last week, and they helped set up the offense for success greatly. So there's some pros and cons to what we see Wentz going forward. And Dave, if here's where the reality check comes in for me, at least, and why we've got this theme named the way it is because, Wentz is 32 years old. I think he is what he is at this point. Yes, can he get better? Sure. And he has played well in the past in certain spots, but in a league that needs quality quarterbacks and is always looking for guys, starters, no team considered him in 2023, I think, for a starting job. No team considered him for a starting job in 2024. And no team considered him for a starting job this year. So why is that? They obviously see some big flaws in Wentz's play. That concerns me. I don't think that if he's the guy the Vikings stick with throughout this season, short term, I think, the Vikings offense is going to look better than it has under McCarthy, but I don't think long term he can play well enough, long enough to to make us a Super Bowl contender. I don't think he's going to be the 1998 version of Randall Cunningham or the 2017 version of Case Keenum. I don't think he's going to be that guy. And then even if the Vikings go back to J.J. McCarthy, and I hope that's the case, I think, but what we've seen from J.J. McCarthy in those 2 games, yes, I expect him to get better over the season, Dave. But again, the level of quarterback play we've seen so far is a bit concerning. He doesn't seem quite ready yet. I don't know. I'm not confident that even though if McCarthy improves, he's going to consistently give us that level of play at the quarterback level that can make us a factor in the playoffs, or even if we get there based on how he plays. The defense is legit, Dave, absolutely. But again, with my concerns with Wentz and his ability to play quality, give you quality quarterback play over the long term, if the Vikings decide to do that, or the fact that J.J. McCarthy is still going to take some more lumps, and I think we're still going to see some struggles if the Vikings turn back to him as a starting quarterback. That makes me I think, have pulled in my expectations for this Vikings team in 2025. In the spring and the summer, we were thinking with the acquisitions the Vikings had made, and they had addressed some glaring weaknesses along the defensive line and the offensive line, and the fact they brought in Jordan Mason and Ryan Kelly and Jonathan Allen and Isaiah Rodgers and Javon Hargrave. And I think most, or if not all, of those moves have so far worked out pretty well. But even with that, you think you need quality quarterback play to make noise in the NFL. And I have my concerns that the Vikings are going to get that quality of play throughout the 2025 season, again, to be a team that makes the playoffs and wins multiple playoff games and gets us to the Super Bowl, which of course was what we were hoping and expecting from this team at the beginning of the season. I think the quarterback play is going to be a limiting factor for us this year in getting to where we wanted the Vikings to go. I don't know how you feel about that, Dave, but that's kind of how I'm thinking from what I've seen through 3 games. And granted, small sample size, right? A lot
Very
can happen.
Small sample size.
A lot can happen between now and week 16 and 17, but I'm not as bullish on the Vikings quarterback play as I was at the start of the season, when I thought J.J. McCarthy was going to hit the ground running and give us quality quarterback play from game 1. We did not see that in 2 games. I'm not confident when he gets back, we're going to see it consistently enough. And Wentz is Wentz.
And yes, Wentz is Wentz. Now, can KOC improve Wentz's play? I hope so. But how long you play Wentz is determined on how well he does. But we do need to get J.J. McCarthy back as soon as it's feasible for him to be back. And that's not just when his ankle heals, but also how the team's doing. You've invested in the rookie quarterback. You've got to go and develop him. Now, I disagree with T-Bass saying, well, you got him top 10. He's ready to go. He's handpicked. Well, he's handpicked, but no rookie quarterback is ready to hit the ground running. I'm sorry. That's not the case. Name me one that made it all the way to the Super Bowl. There's going to be development, and he's young on top of that. So he's got to go through some growing pains, and we did all of this. We got rid of Kirk Cousins. We got rid of Sam Darnold so that we could build the team around a young rookie quarterback. We haven't had one in forever. So it is, it's going to have to be done. And what happens if Wentz turns into Wentz and shoots himself in the foot? What's the storyline going to be? Well, the rookie isn't ready, or the second-year player isn't ready. He's injury prone. We spent so much draft capital on why we should have had him ready by now. I'm sorry, that's not reality, folks. It's not. Tell me a time when a rookie steps in and does bang-up deals. There are a few occasions where they've done great deals. Last year with the Washington team, Jaden Daniels. But he's slipping this season. Do you see Drake May? Do you see Caleb Williams? No, number 1 draft pick. He should take us all the way to the Super Bowl. Listen to Bears fans. That's what they said. What are Bears fans doing now? Well, they're happy after last week, but they're crying normally. So it's
the trail of tears over there in Chicago.
Yes, it's
about the quarterback situation.
But to me, I predicted 13 wins. Are we going to get 13 wins? Now, logically, I don't see it, but could it happen? Yeah. Could it happen with Carson Wentz? Yes. Could it happen with J.J. McCarthy? Yes. The rest of the team's finally getting healthy for the most part. So, having Christian Darrisaw in there, having the O-line back by the time McCarthy comes back, the whole O-line, having Jordan Addison back, who had the biggest connection with, maybe dialing down the playbook by KOC like he did last week for Carson Wentz may help. There's all sorts of things that can help. Mm-hmm. And it's, also probably consider a learning lesson for KOC. How many rookie quarterbacks is KOC mentored to develop, starters, to be starters? Now you can say, well, there was the kid from Utah, BYU.
Jaron Hall.
He's a fifth rounder. Fifth rounders aren't expected to start. It's the NFL. It's hard to play in the NFL, and it takes time to develop and get in the swing of things. So I feel sorry for the folks that are gotta stick with Wentz, and then Wentz starts losing, and you're going to be heartbroken because then who are you going to go to? Max Brosmer. We got to go to Max Brosmer. We got to see what Max can do. I know how this works. But it's not realistic to do that and hope that you find that absolute diamond in the rough that's done something that nobody else has done. You hope they develop into that person, but it's unrealistic. You got the GOAT, Tom Brady. He started as a backup. Peyton Manning went 3-13, as we all know. It's just, you've got to grow a little bit of patience. I'm not saying he's guaranteed, T-Bass, but you've got to be able to develop them. You're giving up on the quarterback even before the team is. And that's not the right way to do it, in my opinion. And we can disagree. I wish you luck to find a quarterback that can do that. But I don't think the Vikings are going to find them. I don't think any other team in the league is going to find them, is what I'm saying. So, now, Anthony says if Wentz didn't have weapons, then he would be concerned. Oh, yeah. As Spencer Rattler's doing, and how many games has Spencer Rattler played versus J.J. McCarthy? He's only played 2.
And I haven't watched the Saints at all to really say how well Spencer Rattler has looked on what's considered to be the worst team in the NFL right now. So he doesn't have a lot of help. But when I look at the box scores, I'm not seeing Rattler really, what I would say, playing well. But is that because he doesn't have a lot around him? Probably yes. It's also because Rattler struggled as a rookie last year when he got thrown into the fire, and he's still experiencing those troubles. I'm not ready to say that he's a guy that's going to turn into a good NFL quarterback. I suspect that when this season is over, the Saints are going to look, if they're got the number one pick in the draft, they're going to be picking whoever's the top quarterback coming out of the draft. I would say that's what they're going to go for. They're going to look for their franchise quarterback, and I don't think that they think it's Spencer Rattler.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Hey, I'm still hoping for 13-3. Can we do it, especially with this defense? Oh, yes, and we'll get into the defense here a little bit later. But
and yes, Sean, these next two games, the Vikings, I think you do need to win because, as everybody has pointed out, and their mother, the schedule after the Brownies gets very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm. And the Brownies are going to be a defensive test.
They are. They are no joke on defense. Offensively, probably a joke. But
it's going to be interesting. And so, do a reality check. Do I dial down to 13-3? Logical mind says yes. But can it change? Either with Wentz or with JJ? Of course it can. And we hope it does. So, all right. Now on to theme 2.
Freddie says we're going 16-1. Bring it on.
All right. This week in Vikings land.
Got another pretty full segment for this, Dave.
But zero graphics, just to let you know.
Okay. Well, it's just going to be you and me on this one, baby.
Yep.
But, first one I want to talk about, one of the themes this so far this early in this season, unfortunately, has been injuries for the Vikings. They've had a lot of them and have had a lot of key players miss games because of injuries. And this week we found out about another one, surprisingly, when we learned that Donovan Jackson, after the game on Sunday, had surgery on one of his wrists, and he's going to miss at least
his left.
Yeah, I was too lazy to check which wrist it was, but I knew it was one of the wrists, and he's going to be out for at least, apparently it's only going to be 2 games, and he'll be fine after the bye. But of course, there's never any guarantees with recoveries on injuries, but we know he's not going to play in Dublin or in London. And that's unfortunate because just like JJ McCarthy has to play in games and get used to the speed of the NFL play, so does Donovan Jackson. And because he was our first round pick, our most high profile draft pick of a very small 5-man class, Dave, we were very intrigued to see how he would do. He was one of the solutions that the Vikings came up with to solve their interior offensive line woes. So, how has he done so far? His first game against the Bears, he had a very good game by all accounts. Second game against Atlanta was a poor game for him, but then just about everybody on the Vikings played poorly in that one, so he had lots of company. Last week against the Bengals, blowout win. I think that he was solid. Now his PFF grades, and somebody's already commented about the PFF grades in there. The PFF grades, one way to look at how an offensive lineman is doing, are not that great. He's only got a 58.3 PFF grade through 3 games, but I think that grade has been dragged down by his grade in the Atlanta Falcons game for the most part. His grades have looked good. He's been better in pass blocking than run blocking so far, according to PFF. But I think that, again, Dave, you follow offensive linemen and watch them a lot more closely than I do, and I'm going to get your take on this as well. But I think that Donovan Jackson has been, pretty solid so far. And so I'm very enthused and excited. I think that he is going to be a good player for us. He's already shown the ability to get out in space and do tandem blocks, and I've seen that a few times. So I like his mobility. I like his nastiness. I like his athletic ability. I think he's going to be a good one. Is he going to have, some ups and downs like all offensive linemen have in their first or second year in the NFL? Yes, he is. But I think that he is a long-term solution at left guard for us. I'm very enthused by what I've seen in the first 3 games. And it's unfortunate that, again, he's missing development time because of an injury right now. But Dave, what do you think about our first round pick and how he's looked? Because you love the round bellies.
I think he's actually done very, very well for this situation he's been in. The first 2 games he played next to SKOL.
Mm-hmm.
And we know SKOL is no Christian Darrisaw. And then last week he had Kelly for just a bit before Kelly went out. I look forward to when the whole team is there, the whole offensive line, and it looks well. Now, he's got a 58 whatever overall. We would have paid money for that the last 3 years on our guards. That is good guard play versus what we were used to. And he's only 3 games into his career. So I am very, very, very much looking forward to seeing him grow even more, getting more comfortable, going through the season and all that, learning from Christian Darrisaw and Ryan Kelly. And I think this is going to be a guard that we very much like for a long, long time.
Speaking of rookies, Dave, going from Donovan Jackson, I talked about how this rookie class was a small one, 5 guys in total. And after the draft was done in April, I think on our show, Dave, when you and I and Tyler were talking about it, and what you've seen from Vikings media who covered the team is that other than Jackson, it was going to be tough for any of the rookies that got drafted to really see any significant amount of time as playing time on the offense and defense, because we had a loaded roster with a lot of veterans who are already well entrenched as starters or, key backup players. And through the first 3 games, that has proven to be true, I believe. But that doesn't mean that the guys that we drafted and also the guys that we didn't draft but signed, who weren't drafted and we signed as undrafted rookie free agents, that doesn't mean some of them or a lot of them aren't making an impact for the Vikings in certain roles, sometimes overlooked roles. Let's look at Ty Felton, the 3rd round guy. He's was our 2nd highest draft pick outside of Donovan Jackson. He only got some first offensive snaps last week against the Bengals in garbage time. He got his first career NFL reception, so good on Ty. But he's with the Vikings trading for Adam Thielen, with Jordan Addison coming back. He's now 5th on the Vikings depth chart at wide receiver. He ain't going to be playing this year on offense unless we have big time major injury woes at wide receiver, and we don't want that. But that's okay because of the wide receiver room we have. The thing is, though, that what he is doing is he's really embraced his role on special teams, and he has been used as a gunner on punt returns and I think kickoff returns well. And Matt Daniels, the special teams coordinator for the Vikings, just raved about Felton this week and what he's doing as a gunner. And we've seen him in preseason and even in the 3 games take down guys on punt returns, just running like a bat out of hell down there, which is what a gunner is supposed to do. So, Ty Felton is not making an impact on offense. We didn't expect he would, but he is making it on special teams, and that is not unimportant. Let's look at, Kobe King. He's a special teams guy. He's not playing a ton on special teams. He's not going to play at all, except in garbage time this year as a 6th round pick. That's okay because we got Cashman, although he's injured. You got Pace, you got Eric Wilson doing those jobs. Gavin Bartholomew, he's probably not going to play this year. It seems bad back injury, 7th rounder. That's okay. He was a developmental guy. But then you look at the undrafted guys, Ben Urasek, who is going to miss tomorrow's game because of an injury, but he's taken over the number 3 Johnny Munt tight end role there as an undrafted rookie free agent. Not bad. He's making a contribution. Small. He's, getting 8 to 10 snaps a game, a little bit more, but it's there. Austin, look at Chaz Chambliss, another undrafted rookie free agent, got his first sack, NFL sack last week in garbage time, but also he's playing 73% of the special team snaps. That is third on the team behind Tavir Thomas, who's number one, and Bo Richter, who's number two. So Chaz Chambliss is making an impact on special teams. Austin Key is a kind of overlooked guy by me who made the team as an undrafted rookie free agent. He is also a key special teamer. He's playing 53% of the special team snaps. He got his first NFL snack last week in garbage time against the Bengals. So he's making an impact on special teams, and those special teams coverage units have been pretty good so far, Dave, I think, in the first three games. Other teams aren't breaking long returns on us. So Keys, Chambliss, their play is helping that. And then finally, look at Miles Price. Again, a wide receiver, listed as a wide receiver, not going to play at all this year at wide receiver except in garbage time, but he's our punt returner. He's one of our main kickoff returners, and he's been very, very dangerous as a punt returner, although you and I wish he would go a little bit more north and south. I think he'll learn that. But he has had several 10 yards or more returns already in 3 games. He is making an important impact on the team, especially when you look at kickoffs and all the kickoffs that are getting returned now. You got to have somebody by there. I think if you can have somebody in kickoff returns who can break off a few long ones and can give you extra field position, that is very valuable this year. So again, outside of Donovan Jackson, you don't have any starters there amongst those other draftees and the undrafted rookies, but they are, again, making, I think, a not unimportant impact on the team in kind of very specific niche roles.
And they are. And as far as Ty Felton, KOC mentioned that when he's talking about special teams, he wanted Ty Felton to use the position as gunner to practice his getting separation like he's running a route, a pass route. Yeah. And then he's seeing improvement in that, and that's good. But the whole, no, you get better at gunning will make you a better route runner idea, I think, is a very, very good one. And I do believe I haven't looked up, but I think our special teams are ranked number 1. Not sure, but they're top 5 for some reason. And we know how that fluctuates. That's because we haven't missed any field goals.
Right.
We haven't. The punts have been all but one shank, have been well. The punt returns have been great. So we're doing real well. And these guys, these bottom of the roster guys, are making a difference. And that's huge because every team needs it. It's, you've heard Tyler say it's not the superstars that win the Super Bowls. It's the bottom of the roster guys that are contributing. And, if you want to switch sports, it's, the 6th man that comes off the bench in basketball, that sort of stuff that gets you that. And so Ty Felton, he's fast, but he's learning his trade, and that's part of it. So,
and he's embracing it. He's not whining about it, sulking that he's not in a position, or how come I'm not playing? I caught 90-some balls in college last year. I was a super duper star, but he understands where he's at with the Vikings. And I think somebody mentioned there might have been about they're okay with Felton sitting here for a year and learning the ropes, and he's in a perfect situation for that with the Vikings with the wide receiver room that we have.
Very much so. Now, next topic, Kevin O'Connell is considered one of the youngest, most creative head coaches in the league.
That's right. KOC is considered one of the best head coaches in the NFL, particularly after getting Coach of the Year last year. If you don't think he's that, you'd certainly have to say he's one of the best young NFL head coaches around, and he's considered one of the best and most creative play callers and one of the best offensive minds in the league. I don't dispute any of that. We've sung his praises on this show many times. I think it's pretty much deserved, but Mike Sando from The Athletic, I read The Athletic pretty regularly. He came out with a very interesting stat about the Vikings defense this week. And the stat was that it had to do with since Brian Flores became our defensive coordinator in 2023. And his stat was that during that time, the Vikings have won 23 games since Flores has been our defensive coordinator. And during that time, the defensive expected points added stat over in those 23 wins is a whopping 236.4 points. That is a lot. Because KLC, I bring this up because KLC being the lauded coach that he is, coach of the year, and great offensive mind, you would think that, and the Vikings have had a lot of regular season success with him as head coach. You would think that the offense is driving the bus on this. But that expected points added since 2023, 236.4 for the defense. For the offense, it's only 12.1 points. So the defense has massively outperformed the offense in total over those 23 wins, which was very, very surprising to me. And in 16 of those 23 wins, Sando also pointed out that the Vikings defense had outperformed the offense as opposed to vice versa. So that's a large win for the defense. And so you look at that, I think, and if you watch the 3 games this season, Dave, that tracks, that point tracks, because JJ McCarthy does not get to author a fourth quarter comeback against the Bears in the season opener if the defense doesn't hold us in the game the whole first 3 quarters when the offense was going 3 and out the whole time. And McCarthy throws a pick 6. Against Atlanta, again, we lost, but I don't think you lose. A 22-6 loss could have been like a 42-6 loss if the defense, they got moved on, but in the red zone, Atlanta had to kick field goals, and they couldn't score touchdowns until the fourth quarter when the defense was gassed. And then last week, you all saw what I saw, the 5 turnovers, the 2 defensive touchdowns, a big reason why the Vikings roll over the Bengals 48-10. So, KLC, yes, I still think he's a great offensive mind and a great head coach, but the best move that he ever made was in January of 2023, firing Ed Donatel immediately after the season was over. And in February, shortly after that, February 2023, adding Brian Flores as the defensive coordinator for the Vikings, because you look at those expected points added, you think about a lot of the wins, it makes you wonder who really is the coaching mastermind on this team. Is it KLC or is it Brian Flores? I guess it's both, but Flores has been damn good.
No, he has. And I would say it's both, because I don't think B-Flow meddles much in the offense. Now, they talk and they say, hey, this is how I would beat this, or this is how you might see that, or whatever it is. And they do discuss that it is a collaboration. It's one of their favorite words. It's the joint effort that they go through. But boy, is it KOC's best move to hire him, and has been without a doubt. Now, will he become a head coach next year? Who knows? Will he be our defensive coordinator next year? Who knows? Because he's a free agent, and he could go to some other team that wants him to be a defensive coordinator and is willing to pay him, or whatever he may love. I know Pittsburgh would love to have him back. Something terrible. And being a free agent as a defensive coordinator, the Wolves probably have already, say, we'll give you this extension or whatever. And he says, I'm going to wait, or whatever it is. He could still sign an extension, and it could happen anytime. But he could still be swiped to be a head coach at that point in time. So we're going to see how it goes. But hey, I'd like to keep B-Flow for, as long as we can, as long as the defense is going. And, some coaches are just better at being a coordinator. And he's already said he wants to be a head coach again. But we'll see. But that was the best move KOC ever made.
the thing about Flores is that he is unlike Spagnuolo, who's the guy that comes to mind as a guy who's a great coordinator, but as a head coach, didn't have much success. Again, he was a head coach of a pretty crappy St. Louis Rams team, but Flores has already been a head coach in Miami, and that team had a decent record for the talent that they had while Flores was there. So I think there's if you're an owner and you can look past the lawsuit, you'd be probably pretty high on Brian Flores if you need a head coach next year, you'd be pretty high on him as being one of the guys you want to interview quickly and maybe sign quickly to be that new head coach, which scares the Jesus out of me because, again, I'm like you. Flores can stay here as long as he wants.
Mm-hmm. As I understand it, it was KOC that went out and recruited him. Unlike with Donatel was hired by the cabal that runs the Vikings, a minority owner in particular. Mm-hmm. And Donatel, I believe, was actually under contract before KOC was, if I remember my history correct. But I think it was KOC that went out and got Beeflo. Mm-hmm. Now, it just got to still go through everybody to be approved and all that sort of stuff. So,
yeah. Moving on, a couple of last topics. One is that touched on a little bit earlier, but tomorrow we finally get Jordan Addison back after 3 games being sitting out because of the suspension with DUI, and it's no secret that the Vikings offense, I think, has been mediocre at best in the first 3 games of the season. Getting Addison back, how much is that going to help the Vikings offense? How much is that going to help Carson Wentz and JJ McCarthy, whoever is quarterbacking the rest of the season? Is he the missing piece for this offense finally, which has a lot of talent? Jordan Mason, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, guys like Christian Jerisaw and Brian O'Neill. Is he the missing piece to make the Vikings offense dangerous, to be the kind of offense we expected it to be at the start of the season? I still think that a lot of it depends on the guy who's getting the handoff and throwing the ball. You got to get quality quarterback play and have quarterbacks who can make the right reads and the right throws to get it to the wide receivers who are usually open at some point in time on a play. But can Addison help? Yeah, hell yeah, he can help. He's got 19 TDs in 2 seasons. He's averaged about 14 yards a catch during those 2 seasons. 133 passes caught, 700 to 1,768 yards in his 2 seasons, and he missed 2.5 games last year. It would be a little bit better. So he's a guy who can run all the routes, can do everything that a wide receiver needs to do. He should make noticeable difference on this team. I think even with the quarterback play being the way it is, and I think, Dave, those stats are particularly impressive when there's not too many number 2 wide receivers who have that production in the NFL, and especially when your number 1 wide receiver is the guy that the offense orbits around, like Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison, I think he is going to help. We'll get to find out starting tomorrow how much.
Yes, and I can't wait to see him. I hope he's back in game shape and can play 60 snaps.
Yes, there was some rumblings that, he might be on a snap count tomorrow, but he's healthy, right? He didn't have an injury. He hasn't played in a game yet, but I think you need to be I know Jalen Naylor has been getting kudos for being open all the time in 3 games. Even his stats are like 7 catches for 95 yards, no touchdowns, so they don't wow you. But again, I think that's connected to the quarterback play in a lot of cases. Hey, man, let me see Jordan Addison tomorrow, and let me see a lot of them. I think that's going to help the Vikings. Final segment we're going to get to here as we close out This Week in Vikings Land is, Dave, maybe it's just me, but when certain players play for the Vikings and they do well, really well, and then they move on to another team, I'm always interested the following year to see how they do. Whether they can replicate their success at another stop. And so when Sam Darnold signed that 3-year deal with Seattle, I was very interested to see how he would do with the Seahawks and whether after the year he had in Minnesota. And so I've watched the Seahawks games, all three of them so far. And outside of it, the first game that the Seahawks lost, Sammy Darts has looked pretty good in Seattle the past three games. They've won all three. Now, they haven't played like a murderer's row of opponents on those three wins, but they're three straight wins nonetheless. He's got like a 70% completion percentage. He's thrown for just over 900 yards in the 4 starts, 5 TDs, a couple interceptions too. And when I'm watching him, he's in command of that offense. He's looking exactly like the player we saw last year who led us to 14 wins and played so well most of the season. Like, he's throwing, he's got the big arm, he's throwing with touch, but he's also throwing with velocity. So beautiful completions, making the right decisions in the most cases, and making some plays with his legs when he has to. I think he's looked, really, really good for the most part in Seattle. And if Sam Darnold was the Vikings quarterback this year, playing the way he has with Seattle right now, there's no way the Vikings lose to Atlanta at home. They would have won that game, and they'd be 3-0 right now. And now everybody's going to think of, oh, well, Darren's saying that, why didn't we keep him, and all of that stuff. That is not why I'm bringing this up. I didn't advocate for signing Sam Darnold, re-signing him last year, throughout the whole year, no matter how good he was doing. You can check all the shows if you want to. And I'm not advocating for it now. But what this does tell me is that this leads back to J.J. McCarthy and KOC. Delton might rip me here on this, but we'll see how it goes. But, it gives me confidence that even with the struggles we saw with J.J. McCarthy in those 2 games, and I've said where he didn't play as well as I expected him to. Looking at what Sam Darnold did, who came to Minnesota, was considered a washed up, he had no hope quarterback, and for him to play like he did last year,
first round bust.
Yeah, first round bust. I think that Kevin O'Connell deserves a lot of credit for that, and he built up Sam Darnold and built up his confidence and got him to believe in his ability again. And Darnold is now replicating that in Seattle. And what I'm getting at here is that I think, J.J. McCarthy has probably got some doubts right now with how he's played. The season hasn't started the way he likes it, but what makes me very encouraged that he's going to come out of this and end up being the quarterback that we expect is because Kevin O'Connell is here, because Kevin O'Connell knows what he's doing with developing quarterbacks, and because Kevin O'Connell has a detailed plan for how to develop J.J. McCarthy, and he's also got patience with J.J. McCarthy and recognizes there's going to be some struggles here. So I think that that's the thing. Maybe it's not going to happen as quickly as Viking fans would like, but I think it is going to happen with J.J. McCarthy, where he's going to get to a quality play. The fans, the media, even on the ownership, they have to have the patience to wait this out a bit. The Jets with Sam Darnold did not. They got rid of him after 3 years. Do you think the Jets wish they had Sam Darnold now with the way he's playing? I think that they do. And I think that, we have to have patience, and everybody has to have patience with J.J. McCarthy, despite the struggles, because again, he's got KOC in his corner, and I believe in KOC's ability to develop quarterbacks and get them to play quarterback at a high level in the NFL. And what he's done with Sam Darnold and with some other guys is the reason I have confidence in that.
Mm-hmm. And as well, we should. And I wish Sam Darnold all the luck in the world until we meet him in the playoffs.
Well, we meet him in the regular season this year.
Well, and I hope we whoop his butt there too. But it's he's doing well. He's a top 5 quarterback right now.
Yeah.
So, and it's great to see. So, but last year at the end of the season,
no.
So
that was tough to watch.
And yeah, he was a train wreck with the Jets, and then in Carolina, their history, and then he went to backup places, and he's learned and gotten better. He was not that first year. Oh my God, we drafted him in the first round. We still hadn't selected him. He's gonna be great. No, like most quarterbacks. Thank you, Norseface. Yes, I am donning one of the 2 SKOL Fest shirts I will purchase this year. And purple and gold bars, no, I was not. I was supporting from afar. I do hope to make it next year, just to let you know. Got a bunch of people rooting for me to get up there. And I'm now halfway to there. So it's a better chance of it. Now, that's the end of theme 2. What comes after theme 2?
Theme 3, Inside the Numbers, baby, with Drew Bunting. Let's get to it.
Ooh, I gotta get rid of that. Vikings at the Steelers. In Dublin, of course.
The base ripper. There we have it.
Love those helmets.
This one still only has one logo on one side. Why can't the Steelers get 2 logos on their helmet? I can't figure it out. But
They're saving money.
That's what we got to talk about today. Thank you for having me on once again. And those segments you guys have, I always learn a lot. You guys have, this is a great show for information and knowledge. You guys teach me so much, man. And hello to everybody out there. Today, I see some names in the chat that I recognize, of course. And anybody has any questions during this segment, or Dave and Darren, then feel free to jump out and ask. But here we go. We're going to do a little preview, a little Dublin, Ireland thing. Where should I start? Probably at the beginning. First, let me say, I want to say this right off the bat. These games in out of the country are dumb. I can't stand them, and I hate them. Other than that, I don't have a problem with it. They're really, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You'd grow the game, all this stuff. It's nonsense. All NFL games should be played here in the United States. The fans deserve to see their team play the home games on their, that's what it's about. It's not about, that's just my opinion. You can hate me in the chat. You can send me hate mail. I sent a letter to Goodell a couple years ago saying, Roger, instead of investing the energy into playing in Istanbul or wherever you're planning on going next, why don't you, in Iraq or whatever they're going to play, why don't you invest some of that energy into fixture officiating? That's what I would like to see. Why don't we spend the energy there? Because your officiating's still terrible. That's my rant about playing overseas. Growing the game is all. I don't care about that. The NFL made $23 billion last year. $23 billion. It's not about money. That is a lot of Skrilla. Okay.
What if you could make 23 billion and then another 13 billion euros on top of them?
And it's not the countries. I love all these countries. Hotspur, London, all this. Look, Ireland. I'm Irish. I love Ireland. I mean, Ireland gave us a lot. They gave us, I can't really think of
great
anything.
whiskey.
About a quarter of their population at one point.
But they got, these other countries have their own games. Ireland, they have probably soccer.
No, Gaelic football.
Gay football? Well, they can
No,
keep
it's
that.
called Gaelic.
Gaelic. That's
And
the same thing,
it's
isn't
a
it?
much
They
harder,
got-
rough and tumble
That's like
version of a sport.
rugby, right?
Like rugby,
Okay.
yeah.
They got pinochle. They got Uno. They got games. They don't need their football. None of these countries do. But we're spending too much time on that. Let's get into this. Vikings, Steelers. There's going to be one trivia question at the end, and Darren is the first guy to go 3 for 3 on trivia in the history of Drew's trivia. Ted Glover didn't do it. Chris Gates couldn't do it. Tyler Forno couldn't do it. Nobody could do it, but Darren's done it. Let's get into this. Vikings are 8-0 in these international games, 4-0 in regular season. So you think I should like these games, even though they're 4-0. I still don't care. I'm glad they won these games, but it's a nice tidbit to get us rolling. This will be the 20th meeting between the Vikings and the Steelers, guys. The Vikings have won 10 of the previous 19. But they did lose the most important one, which the graphic will show you right there. A horrible day of my life. They lost 16-6 in the Super Bowl in Tulane Stadium. where the Vikings ran 21 times for 17 yards. The numbers are still inside the numbers, Darren. They're still swirling around in my head. 119 total yards. They got dominated that day. That's the one I wish we could have back against the Steelers. They could have the other 10 wins, as far as I'm concerned. But when you're looking at this year, Vikings are 2-1. Steelers are 2-1. But I'll mention the Steelers, like I said with the Bengals last week when we got started, I said the Bengals were a soft 2-0. And I was right. That was a soft 2-0 team. This week, after all my research is done, I got the same second verse, same as the first, Darren. Pittsburgh is a soft 2-1. To me, they are a soft 2-1. First off, let's start out by saying I'm glad Wentz is playing, just for the sake of Mike Tomlin has played against 32 rookie quarterbacks, Dave, and he's won 26 of those games. He has a thing about beating rookies, so it's okay. Let's let Wentz play this week with that little tidbit out there. We need all the mojo we can get. It's my mojo, baby. But looking at last week, look at that game, Darren. I think you mentioned it earlier with the Patriots. The Patriots had 370 yards in that game. The Patriots had a 12-play drive, didn't score. Patriots had a 17-play drive, didn't score. Dave Stefano, how do you have a 17-play drive and not get any points? You tell me.
Defense bends but doesn't break.
They've been relying on
they generate turnovers.
They've been relying on that turnover all season. They are tied for first in turnover ratio. The Steelers have had 8 turnovers this year, and it's either kept them in or winning these games. I know it did the first week against the Jets, and it's part of their game so far, and you can't blame them for doing that. But they don't. They're not really dominant on either side of the ball. My research tells me they're not. I mean, they're 2-1, Darren. They're what, 30th in offense and 27th in defense? You get a team ranked 30th in offense and 27th in defense, and they're 2-1. Soft, baby. They are soft. And they are prime for the picking this week. Prime for the picking. Let's get to key one. Key of the week for me, after my research is all taking place, has got to be Jordan Mason. I almost said Jordan Madison. I'm glad I didn't, but I said Jordan Mason versus the number 28 Pittsburgh run defense, Darren. 140 yards a game. That's quite a chunk to be given up to running backs. So I got this written in my notes, but we're going to worry about it next week. This is another game that they need to lean on the running game like they did against Cincinnati. Lean on the running game, make Wentz really comfortable, get in some 2nd and 3 situations, make it manageable, move the chains, keep Wentz from doing – the best thing Wentz did last week was not turn it over, and that's what we need him to do this week. Because the only way you're losing this game is if you hand him a bunch of – like the Patriots did. Patriots are kicking themselves. We should have won that game. You can't – you have to let teams beat you. You don't give away games. But Mason certainly has a chance to have another 100-yard game.
I apologize. I thought when you talked about lean on the running game, I put up our defensive line. Sorry.
That's all right. The graphics are just – we'll let you off on that. We'll send you to Dublin with no whiskey money.
No.
I asked Ruby, I said, what could be the worst nightmare for the Vikings this week? She goes, you know what's worse? Going to Dublin, finding a pub deep in the bowels of Ireland, and going in and agreeing to pay Dave Stefano's drinking tab for the day. That's worse. We love Toonses, don't we?
Yes, we do love
Toonses. Because next week, you can't lean on the running game. Next week is going to be a big preview because we're going to have the quarterback bail us out on some of these plays. Cleveland held Derrick Henry to 23 yards rushing. They held that cat in Wisconsin, Jacobs, to 30 yards rushing on 16 carries. It's Cleveland. I've watched them. They're the best run defense I've seen this year. They're going to have to figure out something. The quarterback's going to have to step up and carry them next week. Unlike, it depends on who you're playing, guys. At Cincinnati, Mason can carry us. Pittsburgh Mason should be able to carry us. And that's what you got to do. You got to game plan for who you're playing, but it's all going to change next week. Believe me, it's going to be a lot different next week. The first thing that jumps out to me is
has the same approach. They game plan for who they're playing, so it's interesting.
And they're game planning against the toughest defense to game plan.
I know, so it's going to be rough on Tomlin and crew.
I imagine Arthur Smith has already started to tip some back for Pittsburgh, trying to figure out how he's going to move the ball on the Vikings defense. The first thing that jumps out to me was much like the Bengals preview, the horrible rushing attack of the Steelers, Darren. Terrible. 189 yards in 3 games, 2.8 yards per rush. That's bad. They know it. The Vikings held Chase Brown to what? 150 rushes for 3 yards or whatever it was. Terrible. They shut him down. That should be the first order of business. Vikings run the ball and stop the run. And Pittsburgh doesn't run the ball very well. So Flores already knows that. Longest Pittsburgh run of the season was 13 yards by Kenneth Gainwell. And if they treat Warren like they do Chase Brown, it's gonna be a really long day for Pittsburgh. Also, I see now Warren is on the injured list. He hasn't been on there all week. He probably looked at the schedule and he thought, "Oh man,
how can I get out of this?
I probably did, Dave.
Find those pubs and go drinking."
Hey, coach, can I have a minute? My side hurt. My side is killing me. I wouldn't be surprised. Close the door on him like they did Chase Brown. They only got 53 yards rushing. Make them one-dimensional. That's how you're going to win this game, much like you did last week to Cincinnati. Same game plan, man. These two teams are like clones of each other. They both have a lot of problems. Don't give them any freebies. Everything else will fall into place. Pittsburgh is 31st in rush offense in the league. 63 yards a game. Horrible. And you can't say Minnesota's run defense is really 22nd, Darren, because that's all skewed by that Atlanta game. You take that out, the ratings is going to be a lot different.
It is. It does. After 3 games, of course, you wonder, okay, which is the real Vikings run defense? Is it the one you saw against Atlanta, or is it the one you saw against the Bears and the Bengals? And we know the Bengals can't run the ball worth a lick, and the Bears ain't that great at it either. Yeah,
they were killing the Bengals. Not even the guy had no room to run at all. You're right. The Bengals really suffered, but that went right into the game plan. Put it in Jake Brownstein's underwear, and then let him throw the ball. That's how they won the game. Same thing's going to happen this week. Granted, Rodgers is probably better than Browning, but they can still get a handle on it. Penalties and turnovers, my third key. The Steelers have only committed 14 penalties this season for 100 yards. Conversely, the Vikings have committed 29 penalties for 205 yards. You want me to repeat that? 29 penalties for 205 yards. Both the penalties and the yardage is twice what the Steelers have done this year. So the Steelers are getting turnovers and not having penalties. We talk about it all the time. Those two things, penalties and turnovers, are X factors in football games. And they've been doing that to keep themselves at 2-1. The Vikings have got to clean up the penalties. You have to, because that goes into handing the team. You can't commit penalties on third down and let the Steelers have a new possession. You can't commit 50-yard pass interference penalties that puts the ball at the 1-yard line. You can't have big-time penalties. There's going to be a few, but you can't have 10 a game. Vikings have 10 a game. That's too many, Darren.
I think a lot of those have been also of the pre-snap variety too. Mm-hmm. I think if you buy, and I don't know what that is. You've had some instances where the defensive lines like lining in the neutral zone, and we've had a lot of false start. Guys not on the same page with the snap count, and maybe that's understandable because you got 3 new starters on offensive line, and then you had
injuries thrown in there.
You haven't had the 5 together that were supposed to be starters the whole game, and it's going to continue this week. You got Brandel going in for Jackson, and then Kelly's coming in after missing a game and a half at center again. So hopefully we get that sorted out. But I think that's where a lot of the penalties are coming from.
Those are the ones that anger me the most. Those are the ones that send the remote control into the sheetrock. those false starts.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God, again?
And I saw
Come
a
on.
picture of your wall in Sacramento, and it had quite a few holes.
There's only so much sheetrock repair you can do when you're retired, Dave. Let's throw a couple tasty tidbits out before we go to the game summary and I wrap this thing up. Vikings are second in the NFL in pressure rate, 45%. Absolutely excellent. Killer. When pressured, Rodgers has a 32.0 rating, 30th in the league, Darren. He's completed 6 passes under pressure, 6 out of 22. That has got to get B-flow flowing. He has got, I mean, that has to get the blood churning, doesn't it? 6 for 22 on those pressure passes. That's man. He really sucks Dublin ass on that. Only passers with a lower passer rating on deep throws are Bryce Young and Cam Ward. They throw 5% of their passes deep. Rodgers throws 7. Doesn't like to throw the deep ball. Hasn't done it the first 3 weeks. Barely does it. That's, again, B-Flow's looking at that going, we control the run game and the deep pass. We know what they're going to do. We know how they're going to try to move the football. We know it, just like they knew what the Bengals are going to do. The Steelers have allowed the 4th most rushing yards on outside zone runs at 128. That is inside the numbers, baby. That falls inside the numbers. What else we got that's a cool
That
inside the numbers?
Ball's going around Darisaw and around O'Neal.
Here's one that I mentioned to Darren before we went on the air. I only do tidbits that are tasty. I don't do boring-ass tidbits. Tidbits are only good if the fan can go, oh, my God, that's cool. Here's one. 43% of the drives against Pittsburgh have ended up in the red zone, David. 43%. Almost half the time the other team gets the ball, you're going to end up in the red zone. That is Vikings got to look at that all the way.
A lot of scoring possibilities.
Here's the one you're going to think that's most tasty, Dave, being you have the Dublin run for the blocking, the big bellies, round bellies up front. Pittsburgh ranks 31st in pass block win rate. 31st in pass block win rate, baby. How do you feel about that, David?
Oh, they're going to have fun. They are going to have fun. And for those that don't know, pass block win rate is that the offensive line holds their blocks for 2.5 seconds. And if they get beat under that, they lose.
Thank you, Dave, for that explanation.
That's a meow. Last tidbit. Did you guys know the Leprechaun Museum is there in Dublin, Ireland? As it should be, right?
Yeah. The only thing I looked up is the whiskey distilleries.
There you go. Shocked that you would do that, Dave.
It was.
It's going to be what? Hash browns and first downs this weekend?
Yeah, along with
Dave,
some Teeling single malt Irish whiskey. Yes.
Pile it on, baby. Here's my summary. Let me tell you what Tomlin's going to try to do, because he knows the Vikings, the Flores knows they can't run it, and they can't throw it deep. Expect on the first couple drives Pittsburgh had to go play action and launch a deep pass. Expect it. Don't let it surprise you. I want to tell you that first off. He's going to try to tell Flores, we're not going to just dink and dunk all day, even though they are. He's going to try to show the illusion that they're going to throw it deep. So expect Rodgers to throw a couple deep passes early. They may complete one. They may not complete one because the Vikings are figuring they're not going to do it. But Tomlin is noted in his 18 years of coaching, try to give the other team something they don't see. So I'm expecting Rodgers to come out and launch a few just to say, hey, we don't suck at passing long, even though we do. They're going to try that to loosen up the Vikings. Do you follow me? Yep. They're going to try to do that to get some running game going, at least showing the illusion that they will throw deep. For me, this is a clone of last week's game with the Bengals. All the Vikings just don't give it away, don't implode, don't turn the ball over. Stop having false starts. I'm expecting
generate migraines. That's for sure.
With the over under is 41.5. I would take the under, considering these are two of the slowest offenses in the league. So probably expecting a lower scoring game. Pittsburgh offense is 30th. Vikings offense is 28th. The difference is Minnesota's defense is 6th in the NFL, number 6. and Pittsburgh is 28. Big discrepancy there. Should give the Vikings a good advantage. Vikings are number 3 in pass defense. How about that, guys?
Our
Number
corners
3.
turned out better.
Yes. Number 3 in pass defense. The writing's on the wall in this one. It's not too hard to figure out that the Vikings don't give it away. Hash browns and first downs all day long. They should win this game. I did factor in, when I figure out my percentage, take all my numbers, I crunch them, I put them into my machine. It's called the Drewster machine because I can't come up with a different name. Pittsburgh has a 73% chance of winning. I mean, the Vikings have a 73% chance of winning this game. 73. And it's usually accurate. I wanted to make a note. I want to tell you, last week I had Minnesota at 66%, Dave, of beating the Bengals. After I found out Monday, I was looking at my notes. I had that number inverted. I was looking at it upside down.
Should have been 99%.
Yeah, I wanted to get that cleared up. Because it wasn't 66, it was 99. So that's about all I have for this game. What do you guys take on the overall summary of how you feeling about this game, or the people in the chat?
Yeah, you can't argue with those numbers, Drew. The thing that I think the game that worries me was you talked about the slide before the injury ones was showing the Vikings offense at 28th in the league, even though I think they are 5th in the league in points scored, but a lot of that's based on last week getting 48 points. But I still we're at this point in the season where you're still trying to figure out what team the Vikings are. And I still, from what I've seen, and a lot of it comes down to quarterback play. I know we got Darius up back. That helps a massive amount. Addison coming back is going to help a lot. But I don't have the confidence yet that the Vikings offense can get out of its way. And that is where can Wentz play, like you were talking about, Drew, mistake-free football in this game, and not just avoid mistakes, but actually make positive plays so that the offense moves enough to score enough points that Rodgers and the Steelers can't keep up, which I think we're pretty sure that they can't. If the Vikings can score, 24, 27 points, they should win this one, I think, fairly comfortably. But it's the offense that worries me. It's the quarterback play that worries me in this game. Ken Wentz, he was fine last week. With that level of play, is that enough to get you another win? I think so, but I just have no way of knowing or no confidence that that is what we're going to get.
Okay.
That's my big worry. But it will help a lot if Jordan Mason runs for over 100 yards again and we run for close to 170 yards.
Oh, he will. Mason's getting another 100 yards. I want to add on, can I say something real quick about the quarterback thing you mentioned earlier? About
the Flores,
some guys, the quarterback thing. They are who they are, but oftentimes quarterbacks in the NFL, and I've noticed it over my long-ass haul of watching these games and these seasons, sometimes it's the system you get put in that brings out the best in a guy. Jim Plunkett, he struggled with New England, went to the Raiders, totally different guy. Jimmy Hostetler, I can't come up with any more off the top of my head, but sometimes when you get in that right system, like Darnold did, he was Jets in Carolina, got in the right system with Minnesota. That might happen with Wentz. I'm not saying that's for sure going to happen or what he's going to end up doing, but sometimes, rarely, sometimes a guy gets in the right system, he becomes twice the guy that he's supposed to be. And I wanted to give my 2 cents on that.
And there's the late bloomers.
Sure.
Rich Gannon would be an example, I guess.
Rich Gannon.
Oh, the trivia. Darren, you ready?
I think I am.
Do it. You can do a drum roll. You got a sound effect for a drum roll?
Actually, I think I do.
I don't. Here we go.
Hold on.
And Darren got Charlie back. That sounds like something out of The Ring, man. What the hell was that? All right, there we go.
I'm
not finding it.
Are you ready, Darren?
See, I got the wrong one. Sure. Oh, well.
Here we go,
Crickets.
Darren Campbell. And Dave, you get to throw in an answer too if you want. 12 years ago, we played Pittsburgh. on an international game. This is our second game out of the country against Pittsburgh. It was in London, I believe.
Yes.
The Vikings won the game, 34-27.
Yes.
Who was the Vikings' leading rusher in 2013, and who was the leading receiver in that game? In that game, we beat Pittsburgh. Leading rusher for the Vikings, leading receiver for the Vikings. Who were they?
So the leading receiver, I'm pretty sure, was Greg Jennings, and the leading rusher was Matt Asiata.
Wrong and wrong. Dave, you got an answer. Come on, 2013.
2013.
I thought you would get the running back for sure.
Adrian Peterson.
There you go. There's
Is
one.
the running back and receiver.
If you get this, I'm going to send you 12 bottles of the finest bourbon ever made in the United States. I will.
No, you're not. You couldn't afford that, buddy. Sorry.
All right, I'll send you one bottle of the finest bourbon in I can talk.
2013. I'm trying to remember who's on the team. What's his name?
Guy smoked a lot of weed.
No, I'm not sure. I don't know. Tell us, who was the wide receiver?
7 catches, 124 yards. The great Jerome Simpson was the leading receiver in that game for the Vikings.
Nope.
I didn't think Jerome was still playing for us that season.
That's kind of a tough trivia question. I'll try to do something a little easier next week. But Darren, that's usually I had to go tough this week because Darren's been on a roll. So thank you for letting me throw that in there. I know you're long on time today, but
we're fine.
Good job. Hell of a job.
Good job by you, as always.
As always.
Come on. Get it done. Get it done. Get it done. Get it done.
Tomorrow's game is on grass. The stadium, Croke Park, has been around since the late 1800s.
What's the name of it?
Croke. Croke, or sometimes some people say the K is silent. I don't know, have not listened to an Irishman from Dublin tell us that. It is, and they've obviously updated the field for forever. It looks rather nice from the pictures I've seen. Kevin O'Connell is swearing up and down that they took the right cleats, the multiple cleats and all the stuff, that the team will not ignore him for a third time. We shall see. But I think it's going to be fun.
Croke Park.
Croke.
It's in Dublin, Ireland. So when you walk into that stadium, do you have to blow a breathalyzer? And if you blow less than a 1.5, you can't.
You get rejected.
Get in. You get rejected. Is that the stadium? I think it is.
Yeah, it could be.
You have to blow like a 1.5 or something, or you get rejected.
It's it is Dublin now. As I've said all week, the city of Dublin was established by the Vikings, not the Minnesota Vikings, by the Vikings back in 841 A.D.
Wow. That's a tasty tidbit, baby.
And they lost it, and I think it was like 1400 and something to an Irish king at the time. But during that time, there was a lot of intermingling, to not just in trade, but in other things. So there is a genetic tie for the Vikings and Ireland, and from what I've read, they expect the fan base to be split a little bit less than 60-40, a little less than 60% for the Steelers and over 40% for the Vikings.
Intermingling? Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Whole new meaning to the phrase 8 in the box, right?
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of football terms. Yes.
Wow.
Well, we know the Steelers fans travel the best of any fans in the NFL, so you knew they were going to be out in full force.
And they've been saving for years for this one because Mr. Rooney, before he passed,
right,
they've been working to get a game in Ireland, and this is the first NFL game in Ireland. They played college game. Notre Dame played at Croke Park, but this is the first NFL game.
was told by a Steeler fan that Rooney's are really tied into Ireland or something about.
Yeah, and
he didn't get the detail, but
yeah,
they're going to be represented well there.
You know, when Darren made the joke that they sent 3/4 of their people immigrated to the U.S., that's true, and there's tons of Irish in there. There's a boatload of them around Pittsburgh area settled.
It's a lot of good knowledge, Dave.
Hey, it's going to be fun. I can't wait. It's hash browns, first downs, touchdowns.
Yeah.
And shots down.
Right.
Yeah.
Alec Lewis, the Athletic Minnesota Vikings writer, he's over there. He posted a pic about his breakfast he had in Dublin, which was like 2 big fat sunny side up eggs and about 16 sausages as big as Dave's fingers.
Is what he was looking at.
Yeah.
And beans and the whole works.
Beans,
it was great.
Yeah, beans. It looked like that would do me for a week.
Little shout out to Alec Lewis too. The guy does a tremendous job. I watch all of his stuff that he puts out there. He does a really good job, Alec Lewis. A lot of respect for him.
Yes, he does. So
that's funny. Dave
with
Fingers.
that, any last words there, Drew?
Get it done. You got to win these games you're supposed to win. Don't give it to them. Don't give them free stuff. None. Make them earn it all, and the Vikings should come away victorious. I mean, this is a lot like last week's game. So I hate losing games when you don't. That Atlanta game still bugs me. We shouldn't have gave that game away. But I think the Vikings are in good shape this week. I got them to win. So
one of our own, Jonas Stark, who's on our post game usually, all the way from Germany, he will be at the game.
Are you guys doing the 2-minute warning? You guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Live at the 2-minute warning. We're the only show that does go live at the 2-minute warning.
There used to be another one. I can't remember who it was.
Well, you guys.
You know what? You know what's funny? We're doing Vikings report, and we both started at the end of the game. You guys' show would start, and then me and Ted would start. And then one day we figured out you went out the 2-minute warning. We shook our head and went, "That crafty son of a bitch."
That's exactly why I did it.
Me and Ted were cracking up. Oh, nothing gets by Dave. I'm going to be first, damn it.
But hey, and we've got an invitation out for both Ted and the Grand Poobah, Christopher Gates himself. If they want to come join and talk Vikings.
Those guys are awesome. I love those guys.
Now, Darren, last words?
Get it done. Like Drew said, man, that's about it. In 24 hours from now, hopefully we'll be back here on live at the 2-minute warning, celebrating the Vikings going 3-1. I do expect them to. Like everything about this game says the Vikings should win, even though the Vikings haven't been all that impressive in their first 3 games. But
at least offensively.
At least offensively. But yeah, this is a game that the Vikings should win, and I think they will win. I think it's going to be. But hey, how does the quarterback do? That's huge.
He'll do fine. With that. Go Vikings.
Go back.
Like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And rate us on your favorite podcast aggregator. Darren and Dave, thank you for watching this episode of Two Old Bloggers. We look forward to seeing you on every show on the new Vikings First and SKOL. You can find our podcasts as part of the Fans First Sports Network. Sports takes for the fan, from the fan. SKOL, everybody!